Like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch. That was a song that we listened to a couple days ago.
That's a preview.
That's
so
already.
Go back and look at that one.
Yeah, that's
we did that on purpose.
Belarus or something like that. Some show. I don't know what's that.
Yeah. Okay. So the next song we're gonna do. We're doing a Slipknot.
This is a Slipknot.
We heard there was a new one that's come out.
Yeah, people been like, you gotta do the new Slipknot, Chapeltown Rag. Dear listener, if you would like your song review, remember, as we said in the video, people been asking about the DJ streams, like who's the DJ? DJ stream is not something that happens like every live stream. A DJ stream is when you get 4 songs or more, or you're part of an alliance, and we just skip, instead of doing it once a week, we just plop it all there in an alliance. So if you're an alliance, you can have an alliance stream, or if you can personally yourself have a DJ stream. But every live stream is not necessarily a DJ stream. Just wanted to clear that up for you beautiful people. Having said that, the time has arrived. Slipknot.
Let's go.
The Chapeltown Rag, I think is the name of this song. Here we are, dear listener. Let's go.
Read all about it if you want to know. Read all about what they want you to know. Everything is gone alone, and if this evil is a gift, this is no fucking trick. Either follow or abandon. Get infected by a vertical event. Check the meter, check your watch. Are they ever gonna stop? Running out of daylight, night time's better, but we know how to handle the truth, motherfucker. Scandalous, know-it-all feedback chamber. Nobody wants the proof, they want a number. We don't deny what is wrong. We're
was classic old school Slipknot, man. That was classic.
Oh, well, people must be going crazy over it then.
Old school Slipknot, for sure. I mean, from the intro to everything, like, I'm talking like first record Slipknot.
Oh, wow.
There's a good commercial for Pepto-Bismol. Yeah, that was classic Slipknot, man. That was
Lyrically or what?
Lyrically,
song?
sonically, whole
Really?
9 yards. Yeah. That was like self-titled Slipknot. What record is that on? Is that We're Not Your Kind?
Oh, I thought this was new. Like
It is new.
release date November 5th, 2021.
Hit
so.
view all credits there. Yeah, they're not saying what record it's on. It looks like it's a standalone.
I was gonna say it might just be
it's a
single
standalone
release.
song. It looks like. Wow, that's deep. I guess that's what happens with the whole COVID situation. They got time to.
What else can they do? Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think Korn just did that too.
Right there. Okay, right. The Chapeltown Rag is Slipknot's first single since their 2019 album We Are Not Your Kind.
Yeah.
So
and NFTs and all that. By the way, we do have NFTs. We are in the NFT game.
We are.
But we will let you guys know. We'll let you guys know how to get in touch with that jazz when that jazz becomes like super public. Lyrically, man, I assumed that it was about the media.
Okay.
And how everybody thinks they know everything.
I got that from it.
Because their favorite... It's really an interesting thing. Like, I'm in a situation now where I'm like, I'm not necessarily sure. You know, if I want to hear, you know, news, I rarely ever... I only look at CNN, MSNBC, and those other, you know, organizations, I call them. I only look at those things for just so that I can research what the establishment is saying. So I only listen to Tucker Carlson just so that I can say this is what Tucker Carlson says or believes, because I don't like talking about people but I don't listen to. I don't trust a word that he says. Obviously, Rachel Maddow, what she's done to herself over the last 4 years with the Trump stuff, like. I only listen to that stuff really just so that I can say I'm legitimately listening to them and they're still legitimately all full of shit.
Yeah.
Conversely, if I want to know what's going on, I'll listen to Jimmy Dore. I used to listen to Rising a lot, you know, with Crystal and Sagar.
Yeah, but when they changed their platform...
Yeah, it was weird. I just stopped listening to them after a while. But you know, I go through phases where I go in and out on the news cycle.
Yes.
Because it's just... Like, I'm purposely not watching the Ahmaud Arbery trial. Like, I'm purposely not doing that. One of my friends told me, like, this whole Kyle Rittenhouse thing, that whole thing is just a ruse so that you don't focus on the Ahmaud Arbery trial. He's probably right. Because they're making a big deal out of this case that's completely open and shut.
Wow.
And meanwhile, there's another open and shut case going in the other direction, and there's already crazy shit happening there. But we're not talking about it. We're talking about this kid sniffling on the stand, and everybody understands where I stand on that particular situation.
Yep.
Which is that it's obvious that the kid reacted in self-defense, but because we're so emotional, and I say we, I'm specifically talking about black folk. I feel like we're being manipulated by this entire thing, while concomitant to that trial is the Ahmaud Arbery trial, where there's an actual miscarriage of justice. And you know, and folks are really twisted up. I asked a black dude this. I said, let me get this straight. If Ahmaud Arbery was armed, because he wants Rittenhouse's head.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is clearly an act of self-defense. I'm like, let me get this straight. If Ahmaud Arbery had a weapon, and those dudes were chasing him, and he was clearly in legitimate fear for his life, and he turned around and he put those two demons in the ground, you'd say that he was guilty? Now, obviously, all things considered, he'd say no. But because he wanted to fight,
right?
Because he wanted Rittenhouse's head,
had to say,
and Ahmaud Arbery's already dead, he said, yeah, I'd vote guilty. No, you wouldn't. But this is where we are.
Yep.
And folk are not seeing. To me, the big picture is, look, we can use this now as case law, so that next time somebody gets a wrong idea, and we put one of them on the ground, now you can appeal to this thing the same way in the Marissa Alexander case, when she fired the warning shots and she got 20 years, the way that we were able to get her off was we were appealing to the Zimmerman case. And that's what got her off. So to me, I'm like, we're missing the big picture here. But even I was missing the big picture because my friend was like, yo, here's the bigger picture. Nobody's talking about the Ahmaud Arbery trial. You're all talking about the 17-year-old kid. So brilliant. I tip my hat to you.
Yeah.
I tip my hat to y'all.
Oh man, that's.
But the point is that
I thought that
Go
the
ahead.
Ahmaud Arbery trial had already happened.
nah, they did the jury selection. It's 11 white
Yeah,
jurors.
I thought you were talking about.
It's 11 white jurors. The judge is like, this is kind of strange.
But we're gonna go with it.
We're gonna oh, no shit, judge. No, really. But that's just an example of how the media manipulates people, and then what ends up happening is now you've got social media people. So we count as social media. I'm not covering any of that shit on Middle America, but you've got social media people who they've got these niches and they've got these massive spheres of influence, and I'm talking about, like, and it's clear to me that this person is like spiraling down mental health wise.
Yeah.
And that's why, I phase in and out of the political thing, because I understand, like, mental health wise, it's not good. It's not good for anybody. And it's especially, especially the guy in his situation. To be in the situation that we're in, you hear things, you see things. It's kind of your job to, monitor comment sections and things like that. And, some people thrive on that and they're okay.
Yep.
And other people, it pushes them to where they say, look, I need a break. And other people who have a crazy work ethic and all the rest of it, they won't take a break, but they're just completely. If you look at a video from like a year ago from this dude, and you look at him now, he's a completely different person.
Oh God.
Completely different person.
Yeah, you know what? Yes, I did notice that even when I was looking.
Yeah.
He was a lot more lighthearted before.
Right.
And it was Oh
Yeah.
God, that's so sad.
Yeah, so like social media, man, is like, it's a double-edged sword. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, yeah, I'll listen to the guys on YouTube because they're going to tell the truth, and the guys on regular TV are not going to tell the truth. And it's like, well, they're going to tell their truth.
Yep. Yeah.
But that's not necessarily the truth.
Right.
And the other thing is that the powers that be, in my mind, they're not omniscient and they're not omnipotent, but we're so easy to manipulate that I'm not certain that you can even win this fight with media, because at the end of the day,
I agree.
whatever we're reporting on is it doesn't matter. Like, if you watch a Middle America video on the other channel, all I'm doing is taking a clip from the media that I'm getting from the media. So it's still curated information.
Yeah.
And then what ends up happening is, like, I remember very specifically one time. There was a situation, when the Trump wanted to get us out of Afghanistan. And then what's his face? And then out of nowhere came this ridiculous bullshit story that the tally was in concert with the Russians for hits out on U.S. soldiers.
Yep.
So that was the big thing. And of course, everybody understands my position on war. Everybody understands my position on Afghanistan in particular. What the fuck were we doing there? We killed UBL in Pakistan, by the way. We got UBL. So, okay, we should have been gone since what, 12, 11? Why are we still there? Why'd those boys die in Extortion 17? What the fuck were they doing there in the first place? We got UBL. Why were we there? So, we're getting out of Afghanistan, and it's an election year. We can't give Trump a win. So now here comes this story, right? And so all of the left-wing independent journalists, except for Jimmy Dore was very skeptical of this, because Jimmy Dore, this is one of the reasons I respect the hell out of Jimmy. He's consistent in his anti-war stance. and he's not going to jump on the train just because Trump is doing an anti-war action, so let me jump on the other side and be pro-war, which is what a lot of supposed left-wing, that's why I lost so much respect for so many supposed left-wing outlets and people. Like, I'm like, you guys are full of shit, all of you who went along with that bullshit. But here's my point. There was one particular guy who got on and pretended that he knew what he was talking about. And he had no fucking clue what he was talking about. But he presents this like Southern drawl and all this other nonsense as if he's like from the South and he's got like a security background and all this and he was just spewing complete nonsense. He was talking about the intelligence community, all this shit. So I shot a video and I was pulling directly from, and they were not popular sites, but they were .gov sites and the NSA and things like that, you know, none of the information was redacted. It was all there. And I just completely refuted what this guy said. This guy said this. The NSA and CIA said that. This guy said this. This is what they actually said. It was actual information from actual experts.
Yeah.
And some of these guys are my friends to this day. It was all this, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. You're defending Trump, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And it was like, no, this is facts. Your boy is out of his fucking mind. And he has hella influence. And you influence legislators and things of that nature, especially in an election season, and you guys are running wild with this thing because these fools have you so convinced that Trump is the Antichrist. It's so funny now, all the people that I used to warn about Biden, all my black friends.
Yeah. Yeah, they change.
I'm seeing all these posts now, and one of my other black friends that was trying to warn people, he's like, "Yeah, I'm taking your apologies from 8 to 5, you fucking moron." You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
But my point is like, even when people were shown the facts,
Yep.
they were so brainwashed with this Trump stuff. It didn't, and then they went to shoot the messenger. And like people were texting me and all this, take it down, blah blah. I was like, man, fuck you. I don't give a fuck what you think. Like, get the fuck out of here then. Like, what do you mean? They were like, oh, you just need to take it down and blah 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 blah. And then their buddy went and shot another video, which was more lies and disinformation. So I'm saying all this shit. So finally, we've got a friend in the channel who also knows what they're talking about in regard to that realm.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, Vin's completely right here. Like, what are you talking about? Now, I know that I know what this person does.
Right.
And so I'm just sitting there watching. I'm like, here's this computer programmer acting like they know what the fuck they're talking about. And I know who this person is. I'm just like, but that's so now I'm like,
right.
I at first loved the and you know, and by the way, I've been wrong on stuff. That's when the January 6th thing happened. I had to shoot a video and go, holy shit. Because my thing was, I don't care what Trump says. I don't care if he gins up, whatever. I don't care about all that shit. And I underestimated how egomaniacal this dude was and how
people would respond.
Desperate he was to hold on to power and how willing he was to use Machiavellian tactics and put people's lives in jeopardy.
Yeah.
I completely underestimated that. Because people were saying, yo, look at this, look at this.
Really?
This is dangerous. So I shot an entire video and I said, holy shit, we were wrong. That's very, very rare, though. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's extremely rare. But so now you've got the situation where if it's crazy because Dan Rather got in trouble. He said something about Bush or whatever, and it turned out to be wrong, and it ended up costing him his job. But when you're a famous YouTuber, and we're not famous YouTubers on the news side, but when you're a famous YouTuber, you can say all this shit, and there's no consequence. None. As a matter of fact, even if you're wrong, people would like. So for example, the Russia thing got completely and totally refuted, which the NSA had said this is complete bullshit. The CIA was saying, "Oh yeah," but of course,
why would they do that?
Because I played the clip where Chuck Schumer was talking to what's her face, Rachel Maddow, and Chuck Schumer said, "Don't fuck with the CIA because they will get you." And he was talking about that in context of Trump. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, you don't want to fuck with the CIA. So what he was saying was, the CIA is going to get you, Trump, because you're flouting your nose at them. He came out and said that, and I played that and everything.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, look, man.
Yeah.
Like. So anyway, I saw everything was sourced, but at this point, it doesn't matter. And the thing is that's crazy is that these folks, you're disconnected.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
The thing that's really crazy to me is that these folks truly believe that because they're listening to their friend from the internet, that they're not brainwashed.
I know. It's wild. And they don't even know if the at all to even talk about what they're talking about.
My thing is, I don't care how credentialed you are. At this point, I want to see your source.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't give a damn how credentialed you are. Like somebody was talking about the Kyle Rittenhouse situation. And he's like, he shot him 4 times. And then he was like, he shot him in the pelvis, which means that he was falling. He was going to fall for. He's talking like he was a forensics. And I'm like, what is the fire rate of an AR-15? And he's like, he's trigger happy. You shot him 4 times. I'm like, what's the fire rate of an AR-15? He didn't know. Ladies and gentlemen, the fire rate of an AR-15 is 400 rounds a minute. So you divide that by 60. That's what, 6.66 rounds a second. That's 7 rounds a minute. 7 rounds a second. Which means
the fact that
he literally he depressed for a second, essentially. And that was it.
Yeah.
But then this guy started to itemize all this guy's wounds, not realizing, the fire pattern and all the rest of it and how all that shit works. But this is what happened. This is a guy with some influence, and it's like,
yeah, but I don't think you even have to know that much information, because if you look at the video, it's very it wasn't
that was
like
the other
bang,
thing.
bang,
That was the
bang,
other
bang.
thing. That's the other thing. He wouldn't play the video.
Why?
But this guy was just all up in his feelings and his emotions because it's a white guy. He's getting away with murder. Blah 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 blah. It's like
literally, yeah.
It's like that kid. I'm sorry, showed way more restraint than. Yeah. But this is the thing. Like now, people are attached to personalities in the news, and I'm not certain that's not more dangerous than corporate media.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Because now, the guy was completely irrational.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just completely irrational. It's like he's like, I don't care about the fire rate of an AR-15. Well, when you're itemizing the guy's wounds and you're saying he got shot 4 times and you're saying the kid is trigger happy, for you to not know that for him to only put 4 bullets in that guy and he was like, why'd you put 4 bullets in? I said, what do they tell you? What do you tell you when you go to the school, when you get your firearm and all that? So what do they tell you? And he says, muzzle safety and all that. And then I say, okay, and what do they tell you to do when you actually engage a person? He said, I don't know. This is basic stuff. They tell you if you use your weapon, engage the person until the threat is neutralized. That's what they tell you. They don't tell you shoot the person once and run away. What they tell you is the conventional wisdom across the board. Hal told his wife, just empty the clip.
You did.
Which is also bad strategy. But
yeah.
But that's his thing because he's assuming that there's never gonna be a time when she's there and he's not, so he's gonna come through. You know what I'm saying?
Oh really?
So you know how he thinks. Shout out to the homie, gang. But so here's a guy has no idea what he's talking about. He's itemizing this guy's wounds, and he's trying to make this case. He's trying to litigate this case, and he's got a crew of followers, a crew of black people who are extremely hurt. And obviously, I know what that feels like. Mm-hmm. They're extremely hurt, and nobody can listen to reason. So he says some things like that, and it's like, well, I don't care what the fire rate of an AR-15 is. Well, you're saying the kid is trigger happy. So if he's trigger happy, then in order to establish that, you need to understand the fire rate of an AR-15. But you could tell he hadn't even thought about that. So now you got people litigating these things in court, and I'm like, and same thing with LeBron James. Now, I love LeBron. I think he's the greatest basketball player of all time. I don't even think it's a question. But he did this twice now. One with the cop where he said, you're next. Mm-hmm. And he was completely wrong about that. And then with this kid, he's mocking Rittenhouse and all the rest of it. And I'm like, LeBron, I know your life story, bro. He grew up in a hard place in Cleveland, but he wasn't on that gang shit. He's never had to kill anybody in his life. He's never had to carry the burden of killing. Mm-hmm. And here he is acting like he can litigate this kid's emotion. So now all of us are legal experts. We're all forensic experts.
Yeah.
We're all psychologists. And this is a dude that's got like 10 million Twitter followers. You see what I'm saying? And so now I'm like, well, fuck, man. Like, when Rachel Maddow gets on MSNBC and says, what did she say was that the Russians could possibly freeze us out in Fargo?
Oh my gosh.
If they shut down the power grids, people would freeze to death in their homes.
Yeah, I believe that's what was said.
Most people are sensible enough to laugh at her. I had a guy though in the comment section. He's like, "Oh, how do you know what would happen in Fargo?" And all the rest of it. You notice how you haven't heard anything about Russia lately?
Yeah.
He's still there. Putin's still there.
Yeah.
I guess he stopped doing all that crazy shit once Biden got in office. Like, come on, y'all. Like, so now it's like, at least when Dan Rather said that crazy shit, he lost his job. These guys, MSNBC, when they lie, they get suspended. When Rachel Maddow gets taken to court, she says she's not giving information, she's giving opinions, so she's not the news. All this shit is out there, so you know to take it with a grain of salt. But now you've got these pockets and these cults of personality, and nobody feels that they need to correct themselves. So you can just say a bunch of crazy
very
shit,
dangerous.
and then you don't have to correct yourself. So now you got all these people hating Kyle Rittenhouse. You got a country of 330 million Americans, 350 million guns, and now this kid is in the crosshairs of all these people who have already been judge, jury, and executioner. Everybody knows I'm a lover of my people.
Right.
But I'm also a lover of justice, and I'm not going to take out all the pain that me and my folks have dealt with in this fucking country. I'm not going to take that out on a kid.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But now it's like LeBron and the rest of these people have no idea of this could go really, really bad.
Yeah.
What if somebody kills this boy?
Oh my god. And the level of not just influence, but the reach of of people's influence. It's like we're in a whole new space we've never been in before. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It took so much to get to the top where you could influence large groups of people, that there was a certain level of responsibility that you learned as you were growing through that. But now it's like anybody with some bit of personality can get on Facebook and YouTube and create a channel and start getting a massive following.
That's the thing, is that you don't even have to be, especially in the news space. The news space is almost completely dominated by personalities.
Right.
You know,
right.
and that's why Jimmy is sort of singular and unique here, in that he understands that about himself. He knows he's got a cult of personality, but he's on his shit. And the other thing is, Jimmy will bring in specialists. So like, you know, he'll bring in, I forgot the lady's name, but when, you know, he's talking about Israel issues, he'll bring her in. Like, he's got these specialists, and he'll bring them in and they'll talk about it. And then he'll just talk about what he knows, which is organization and things of that nature, and when people are selling out and all the rest of it. Mm-hmm. But man, and I'm not saying that Jimmy has a perfect record, but I'm not certain, man, that the social media news thing, and I don't really know how to stop it.
Oh,
I feel like it's a Pandora's box. You know, I think, you know, Facebook tried last year, especially around election time. But what they did, you know, with the fact checking stuff, but all they did was reveal their own political biases. Mm-hmm. There was a clear bias that Facebook has. Yeah. There's a clear bias that Google and YouTube has. And what I'm saying is, I don't care. I don't care, because it's their platform. But to me, even when they were doing that, all it did was inflame people, and it stoked the rebellion in people and made people say, you know what, fuck this.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm gonna find a way to read this article then.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And then the other thing, the other effect that happened is that people have to understand these giant. There's a conspiracy effect. So the idea is, if you say, there was like this one article, I think it was about like Pete Buttigieg, where he supposedly like committed a horrible act of animal cruelty on a dog when he was in high school.
Oh, that was high school?
I don't believe that happened. I don't believe that in any way, shape, or form. I don't like Pete Buttigieg. I don't like what he stands for, or whatever. But because he's the corporate Democrat. But so I'm not a fan of corporate anything. Mm-hmm. But except for our corporation.
That one's okay.
But I'm like, there's no way that this guy did that. No, I don't believe it. So it gets posted, and then it immediately got snagged, and then we got a penalty on the Middle America channel. Well, what do you think is going to happen? People are going to go, wait a second, why are they trying to hide that? They're trying to hide that because they know it's the truth. Why else would they do it?
Right.
Well, there's a million reasons why they wouldn't do it. One is it's not true.
Right.
And they don't want their platform to be used to spread a vicious lie about someone, much less a presidential candidate.
Right.
Because how would you feel if you were a left-leaning individual, but you felt partially responsible for Donald Trump? You see what I'm saying? So, I get it. I get what they're trying to do. And I agree with it to a degree. I mean, our channel got throttled like crazy.
I know. I kept hearing you and
our
people say,
our admins on Middle America had to approve literally every post.
Wow.
They made it so difficult for us to publish and work and all this stuff.
Wow.
So they put us on a watch list. They penalized. I mean, they did a whole bunch of shit to discourage people from not sticking to a certain, the mainstream media narrative. But what it does on the back end is that fosters the QAnon culture. Like, I got a friend right now who's like, person that's like in remission, and like, I'm very worried. But you get down these rabbit holes, and the more you suppress that stuff, the more people, the more it confirms that it's true.
Yeah.
And don't about the COVID disinformation and misinformation. I had one of my friends, my friend, to be honest with you. But one of the acquaintances that I knew back in the day, and he's one of these silly like, oh, COVID isn't real, and ivermectin and blah 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 blah, and then I get a message from his mother. His mother's like 78. Pray for so and so. Him and his wife had COVID. He celebrated their 17th wedding anniversary behind a glass with his wife unconscious. And she's at about 85% on the ventilator for her oxygen intake. That's not going to end well. But here he was saying all this bullshit. Now and they refuse to say why she's on the ventilator. All it is that she's on a ventilator. But they refuse to say why. That's the shit.
Right.
That just, and
right.
I'm
why
like,
can't you be honest? Now that you've seen that you were wrong, just come out and say it.
Exactly.
But people are too prideful to
and
come
then
out
you're
and
about
say
to lose the most important person in your life.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you want other people warned about? Nope. Because we got to be right.
I know.
We got to be right.
I saw this other girl. She put this post. I wish if I had my phone, I'd read it. But she was saying that her and her baby were experiencing the flu. And she was like, it's not COVID, but she didn't say how she knew it wasn't COVID. Then for the next few days, it didn't sound good at all. She was saying they were having trouble breathing. They were all the stuff. It was literally all the COVID symptoms that she was talking about. But she was still sticking to her story that it was not COVID. But I'm assuming that if it wasn't, she would have said, it's not COVID, we got tested. But the fact that she just said, it's not COVID.
This is mind-boggling.
We don't know what it is, but it's not COVID. It's
mind-boggling.
What?
I used to think that that survival was the most basic human instinct, but it's ego.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
It's ego.
Dang, that's so funny.
People would rather die. And they'd rather
it's not funny, but
they'd
it's
rather
so
bury
crazy.
their wives. They'd rather bury their wives and friends and admit they were wrong. I'll say one more thing is that
it's like comedians when stuff gets funny, it's because it's so true. That's oh my god.
Yeah, and I had a situation, and we had this thing called Vin goes crazy over COVID or something like that. Somebody was saying some misinformation and disinformation. I completely lost it. Partly because I had just got done reading that post from my former associate. And I just lost it, and I went overboard. And so he shows back up in the next live stream, and I said, "Yo, factually speaking, I stand by what I said, but I was completely wrong, bro. My bad." The Lord was like, "Hey, your brother's in the chat. You need to apologize."
Yep.
So I apologized to the homie.
Yep.
And he said, "It's all good, bro. Everything I said was wrong." I was blown away because that's the first time I've seen one of these folks say, "Nah, I was off on that." But see, that's what happens when you're actually worried about and not just whatever. So I don't know, man. It's tough, and you can't blame. You can't say left wing, right wing. It's human nature. Mm-hmm. We've all been divided up into these tribes, and none of us believes in the establishment anymore. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure what the solution is. Because when the media had complete control over everything, we ended up in wars. We ended up in Iraq. And I'm convinced that Jimmy Dore and who's that skinny dude that he hung out with that did all the Syria coverage that Cenk and Anna and all the rest of them went after.
I always ask you what his name is because I can never remember.
But I'm convinced that if it weren't for Jimmy and that dude, we'd be in another jihad in Syria 100%. Yeah. So anyway, like I don't really know. I don't know what the solution is. Maybe it's and anytime you say maybe there should be some overwatch over social media, they're gonna crucify it. Mm-hmm. Because then it's gonna be like, well, who's gonna do the overwatch? So I don't know. I don't know. Like it might be a situation where, Slipknot might be touching on this. Like it might be a situation where we've just opened up Pandora's box and it's gonna be damn near impossible to close it. And I don't know where this is going to head to.
I know.
Anyway, what'd you get the song?
Actually, I love Slipknot stuff, but this one was not that great to me. It was like a 7.4.
I didn't like the chorus. I felt like the chorus was kind of a generic Slipknot chorus, if that makes any sense. But the heavy parts I loved. They went back to that percussive sort of tribal sort of sound. So I'm going to give it a 9.2.
Oh, wow, there you go.
What are you giving it?
I already gave it a 7.4.
You did? I didn't even hear you say that. Well, there you are, dear listener.
You tried to block it out. You're like, that's not going to be good for the channel.
7.4. Who cares about the fake news? Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone. Get vaccinated. Stay safe, bitches.